Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azakai here, bringing to you the APAC semifinals. So there'll be today. We're gonna have SKT versus Doc. Tomorrow, 2 seconds actually. They actually gave it to us in the announcements anyway. Tomorrow we'll have YYY versus AP. Now, I'm very excited to see the champions of the APAC. Who is going to be the champions of the APAC? I believe a good chance it's going to be SKT. I'm not going to say it's that no one else has a chance. I just think that SKT is probably the best bet. If I was to put my money on one of the 4 teams in the semifinals right now, it would be SKT. So for today, tomorrow, we're gonna get the semifinals. We only have 1 set of matches, best of 5. Best of 5. Alrighty, gonna start a prediction just now. Let's go switch over to green cap of the Pickman. Now, we didn't get to watch this live again. It would be really cool if we did. But let's take a look at what they have chosen. So SKT rolled a 4, Doc rolled a 2. So SKT has first pick. First ban. SKT banned out Daiso Fort. Again, I don't think anyone would want to attack Daiso Fort, but if you want to, I don't think it would be easy to defend either. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing. So I'm really unsure. On like which would be easier, because I've never really seen a CBL match on Daiso. Regardless of that, Crick Castle June gets banned by Doc. Not an unexpected pick. Crick Castle can be difficult to defend, but not very many people in the Frontier or the APAC CBL has attacked it. Most of the people, when I watched the European or the Americas one, a lot of people select Crick Castle to attack. It's very, very favored. Now, moving on to the picks. We have SKT picking Harbor City, so that will be our first set of matches. SKT attacking first on Harbor City, followed by Doc, and then the next set of matches will be on Wall Fort, selected by Doc. Doc will attack on Wall Fort first, so if it does come down to a tiebreaker where both teams win 2-2, it will be on Grassland Zone. That is always the go-to. I don't think we have a choice in which field map it is. Now, the bans, super interesting. SKT banned Zwanji Heavy Cavalry, Wu-Wei Mansion Guards, safe picked Sunway Phalanx, and then banned Companion Cavalry. Wow. Super interesting setup right there. Banning out 2 of your major cavalries right now. These are your 2 most effective cavalry for slot. I think Yanyu Dow's can cover. It's not guaranteed though. Wu-Wei Mansion Guards, again, those guys can be terrifying still. They're not as strong without doctrines, but it is apparent that they can work. Their low cooldown and basically spamming nature of their abilities makes them really terrifying shock troopers. Iron Reapers getting banned for Dock. Metallictors, well, technically Falconetti Gunners, but they still have the name Metallictors here. Safe picking Lancelot Knights and banning Imperial Spearguard. The ban on the Imperial Spearguard is super weird because I think they banned out the Imperial Spearguard to stop having Sunways having a meaty protection. But I don't think Imperial Spearguard is necessary. I think you would want to kind of reduce the flexibility, but I mean, there's still other options to be your meat shields. You could simply have just the Mez Spearman. I think the Mez Spearman is basically a extraordinarily cheap option for a shield unit that can work as a very good buffer unit for Sunway Phalanx. Now, we're gonna see if these teams can eliminate the Sunway Phalanx with Lancelots. Lancelots can get on top of Sunway Phalanx, but the Stun on Brace is very powerful. That is the killer for a lot of units. Is the Stun on Brace. Getting chain stun is never fun, I would say. But the safe pick on the Lancelots do give both teams a very powerful infantry. Now, another very powerful infantry that I think teams have not picked up on because we literally just had the update yesterday. Silidars. I am expecting someone to pull out a Silidar. It will, or should be, strong. I'm not completely convinced if it's meta, but you can definitely make Silidars work. And by no means is Silidars, how to say, screen's not taking up the whole screen. You can't see the pixel line at the bottom. Yeah, I know. I can't do anything about that. I mean, like, that's the max it will go, man. Oh, wait, no. There we go. Yeah, don't listen to me. No. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, Silidars. Oh my goodness. I'm hoping to see some Silidars come out. That is my dream. But let's continue on to Harbor City. First attack, SKT. I am seeing a lot of Silidars coming out from SKT. They are definitely believing in the Silidars right now. And to put this very simply as well, Silidars would actually work as a very great stopgap for the Sunway Phalanxes. Now the low usage of cavalry, because both of the major cavalries have got taken out on a Harbor City map, it's going to be super interesting because I actually really think that you could pull out a Winged Hussar or something, and it's just be like, there's so much Silidars out right now. I'm just very surprised that one person from Dock going for it. Not very many Lancelot Knights, and the Sunway Phalanx is on Dock side is very low. So it's definitely seemed like SKT's got a setup. Definitely got concentrating on the Sunway Phalanxes and the Silidars here. Now we're off to a normal start here. Does look like SKT is going to deploy some, let's say, not Culverins, mortars. Whoa, no, I take that back. Some Culverins here at the front. Sacrificing 2 culverins, in fact, to take out those front artillery. Someone's already used a treb. Not particularly sure where. Do have a culverin deployed by Doc. They might want to waste some time by destroying siege towers. I think destroying the siege tower at least once is a good option. I mean, sorry, a good play. You got some free artillery. You can get some shots off. That means you don't need to commit too many. They've committed 5 so far. We got 2 short swords from SKT looking to surprise the ladder. Not that a ladder climb has ever been successful. Well, let me not say never. Very rarely have I ever seen a successful ladder climb, and they do destroy all of the counter siege weapons. Very unfortunate as well. A lot of them are super low. Dox jumps down, gonna try to buy time, but he gets killed. I honestly think that is super devastating. You sacrifice your life not to be able to get any time, but all of the siege... Oh, no. Right-hand siege tower is not on the wall just yet. Nice to see something like the Iron Cap Swordsman out on the field as well. These guys are actually really powerful, and I think they should be reserved for pocket picking at the very end. Their low cooldown and knockback on hit also affects... Sorry, their knockback on hit with their charge also affects heroes. So they can be a very powerful tool dealing with the heroes, catching heroes just in general, but you would really want them at the end where there's not very many strong units. Whoa! That is a hilarious bug. Longsword having apparently infinite maximum health here. Catching another hero. My goodness. There hasn't been any major engagements, but SKT's just catching heroes. I mean, that's going to be super annoying until he dies, so that's funny. Doc does make a retreat, but unfortunately it was a little bit of a staggered retreat where a couple of the heroes did get caught there. I don't expect Doc to realistically have fought for the wall unless they destroyed more of the siege towers. But the siege towers are super low, but unsuccessful in destroying them. Now, SKT still has a lot of resources. We could see a little bit of bombardment. Let's see how much they can weather. And this is also very fascinating. A setup here at the front gate. Because of low levels of cavalry, they don't have very much to fear from getting overwhelmed with speed. I think they could have crept up a little bit closer, get those mortars in a perfect position. But moving on for the safe pick, regardless. We do have the Claymores. Claymores do provide a very powerful buff. One of the best buffs in the game, I would say. Now, this is a usual left-hand push. Forces the defenders to either fight early or delay as much as possible. Doc does an over-rotation. They will not be fast enough. SKT's bait successfully works as they take the supply point without a... Whoop, actually... I think that was just Pike Militia? No, some Rattan Pikemen. Killing off some Rattan Pikemans here. It is a little bit disappointing how easily it looks like SKT is pressuring Doc. I don't believe Doc won't put up a fight, but I really do hope that they have a little bit of confidence here. We got some counter mortar fire from the defenders here. Oh, devastating hit. Right onto the Shenji. Takes out 2 of them. That's going to be painful. Hit right in the back as well. Gotta really pick your fight. You gotta be careful as well. Both sides are taking a little bit damage. Not a good target, by the way. The Murmylones will heal up. You need to keep hitting the Murmylones in order to damage them enough. Good hit. Good hit on... Well, I mean, again, on a unit that's probably going to be okay. There is way more than there's 4 Cylindars. They have a rotation. SKT has 5 Cylindars out right now. Alrighty, both sides are kind of just running back and forth. Big hits from the mortars, slowly damaging both sides. I do think the longsword buff as well also came with the Thursday pick. SKT. This is going to be a really hard corner for Doc if they stay. Does take a couple of big hits. Where are those Sunwave Phalanxes going? Off to a bad start for Doc. Big flamers coming out for Doc here. But this is a corner squeeze. We got a massive infantry fight as they try to push their way through. Flamers on the left here. Another big trap on the top. I think SKT should slow down their approach as they're getting slaughtered here. Doc pulls out the Yanyudao cavalry, but it easily gets picked up by the Sunwave Phalanxes that remain. Big loss for SKT. This is what I like to see from the defenders. Good commitment, and also SKT really did not scout that. Regardless, going in for that fight early on just caused them to really just eat it hard. Super heavy losses, probably over 300 unit losses. Probably going to like 380 losses for SKT. Over 200, I would say, for Doc. They still have a lot of reserves still. Ooh, Doc is way up after that fight. At least 10 units. I kind of want to believe in the Royal Janissaries, but SKT started off really terribly there, running straight into Flamers. It will be. There's not very much cavalry to open up the way. Starting off with heavy shield units, eating up the Imperial Pike-Guard charge, advance. Got the Zycalian Militia, definitely being the clutch for SKT. If they can weather the storm, they'll be able to push through this fairly easily. Just got to be real careful about exploding. Whoa, what was that? Trev. Orbital bombardment. Stalwart's right on top of it though. They don't care. Walking straight into friendly fire. A good pickup coming out from SKT. Again, those major units being a real pain. There's 8 of them left. You want to keep those in reserve. Surprisingly, looks like Lancelots get taken out at the back from Halberdiers. But here we are on the base point right now. We've got Lancelots trying to hold on. Gets slapped by the Murmylones. And probably followed up by the Royal Janissaries. Now, the one thing you want to be careful about is Royal Janissaries can have fairly low cooldowns, and that 3 seconds of basically sheer unstoppability, well, not unstoppable, but Yanyudaos take a swing. Unfortunately, I think they get caught. by the Sunway Phalanxes. Another set of Lancelots. Demez as well. We got surprisingly men-at-arms out on the field for Doc. Another cavalry charge. Makes it all the way through. Wow, what is that? Did you just see that snake from the Iron Cap Scouts? That was amazing. Whoa, get me back to the fight. Surprisingly, Doc manages to bleed out the SKT. Now is coming down to just a few units. I think SKT should reorganize for an assault. Pull back.
Destroy them.
Sacrifices the men-at-arms as to the flamers here. Wow, surprisingly, just 3 flamers out of 7. I mean, there's only 2 out of 3, but there used to be 7.
A walk in the park.
Another Treb coming out.
Not
Boom!
one step back.
Can we see a good hit? Oh, devastating hit! Doc should be feeling that one. Both sides take super heavy losses yet again. We're going to come down to a fair few of the lower tier units. It has been an exciting scrap between both of these teams here in the semifinals. Man, I need a moderator so that I don't have to deal with this every time. Sometimes I'm not looking at Twitch chats all the time, so... goodbye. Oh man, yeah, no, like... I was super surprised at what happened there with the Iron Cap Scouts. They kind of like dodged everything and just went straight for the units that they were meant to, and was just like, man, did the AI just work out for that guy, just like super massively? Surprisingly, we have 3 sets of cavalry coming out from SKT. We have plenty of Sunway though. These Sunway will probably be the most important units from both sides, in fact. Though, surprisingly, we have Iron Cap Spearmen coming out. Oh, we have Rattan Marksman for Doc. I think the Rattan Marksman is the game changer here. If the Rattan Marksman stays on the field unchallenged, SKT just going to take a lot of damage. They cannot afford to lose any of their units simply just to range fire. Both sides, this setup right now is looking. Whoa, we have SKT fighting in the back line here. Where is that Rattan? That Rattan is right there. A lot of them died right now. The back forces did kind of get killed here. Mortaliers do charge through the center there. Did a good job. Shields are still holding on. I think only 1 flamer left. Looks good for SKT though. Got 2 minutes 40 seconds. Doc not holding. Trying to deal with the back. At the same time, SKT is just making a mess of their front line. Unfortunately, unfortunately, they could not make use of those Rattan Marksmen as much as I thought they would. Really good play from SKT. I didn't get to show it very much, but the complete surround here put a lot of pressure on Doc. They really needed to concentrate SKT in a way that they could take advantage of. But we got too many Sunway Phalanxes holding, carrying the front here. We got the 3 Sunway Phalanxes coming from SKT, probably carrying the day. Doc put up a really good fight, but when it comes down to the end here, they could not make use of the available units. Not to mention, SKT did a really good disruption job. Again, I didn't get to see that scrap at the back. So, it is apparent that both sides are giving it their all. I love to see the Silidars also come out though. here is, where is the guy that just basically trebbed his team? I bet it's this guy. That was a... Oh, okay. I think it might have been this. Yeah. uh... Friendly fire... What? No, hang on. Where is he? Yeah, friendly fire reduction, -200. Very upsetting. Now, what's not a surprise here is SKT actually picked up more heroes. I do think even just a slight shift towards the medium and light armor classes, you will see a big spike in kill potential. Doc has a lot of heavy armors, but personally, I don't think they're going... I don't think they're doing very well. But nevertheless, good fight for Doc at the beginning. Again, you see this fight really going in the favor of Doc here at the beginning. SKT pulls it back though. Doc being a little bit stubborn though. I think the Zycalian Militia was really the game changer for SKT here in the fight. Good thing that SKT did play it slow though. I don't like it when the attackers think that they just need to keep feeding into the defenders. So you see that a little bit, but they did stop, eventually reorganizing for a proper attack. And well done to SKT, really disrupting the back lines there. And we didn't get to see the rattan marksman kind of carry the day here. I would also say is the unwise thing for Doc was to push forward. They needed to kind of let SKT present themselves and push and push and push. They just needed to retreat just slightly, ever so slightly, make use of that extra range, make use of any kind of advantage you can get. The rattan marksmen were very important, and I think them not gaining anything was a real letdown. Any of the ranged units would have been massively insane to be available at that time. Regardless, we are going to wait 3 minutes for the next set of battles to start. And I want to also stress, don't underestimate ranged units. The most important thing about ranged unit is they can always take advantage of their range. So if you see the enemy, you can shoot the enemy. And you should always keep artillery in your back pocket when you can do a slow push or when you only need to slowly defend. Defending, artillery is super advantageous. The enemy will walk straight into you. When you're pushing, it only works if you're slow pushing. You can't place artillery down and do a rush, because by the time you finish putting down that artillery, you're going to push the enemy so far away that artillery, you can't be on that artillery anymore and need to push forward. Really great to have artillery around the base point. That is always guaranteed, but especially for attackers. You got to pick your fights, you got to force the defenders into a position where your artillery will be effective. For the defenders, your artillery will always be effective because you can defend it and the attackers have to go through you. Most of the time. But I like ranged units because they're flexible. You can move ranged units around, and definitely you can keep them safe from the enemy. Still. Unfortunate, the two flamers that they did have didn't seem like to have too much of an effect. The rattan marksmen looked to have taken a big hit. Only 16 of them were left by the time I checked on them again. And realistically, Doc didn't have a stable line. They tried to push against SKT. I think that was a bad move. When it comes down to polearms, when it just comes down to just bunch of polearms, never be the one that has to go forward or into the enemy, because you take more damage as you move towards as you move into the brace. You never want to be that one. They had 2 artillery left at the end. If they were mortars hitting the blob waiting, it might have been massive. Oh yeah, definitely could have been massive. You should always use your resources as best you can. There are times where you just don't know whether or not your artillery will be valuable or not. You're just going to have to make that decision, because once it's placed down, you need to make some value out of it. And especially for the defenders, if they had any resources left, they should have been placed down at that last fight. Definitely. Didn't matter what it was, you should have put it down. Alright, we're on to the second battle here on Harbor City. They might have been trying to play aggressive with their flamers and keep the corner, so they pushed them as soon as SKT came around the corner, but they retreated. Nah. If that was true, that they were trying to keep the corner, they walked straight into SKT. SKT already took the corner. That was the problem. They were late. So they were not in a position to hold the corner. To simply put, they were not in a position to hold the corner. The Flamers, again, there was only 2 of them. You're not going to cover a lot of area, but they're still terrifying. Royal Janissary is coming out massive for SKT as well. Looks like a bunch of Culverins. One person not bringing Culverins, being a mortar instead. Could see a wall defense. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if SKT went for a wall defense. Wall defenses are not kind to polearm units. Oh, that is a very interesting view here. What I am surprised about is, before the fight actually began, that's why the flank went first as well. Yeah. It would make sense why the far side didn't want to be there. It's easily trebable when you're at the back section. Oh, no. When you're at the back section here and you're this far away. Does look like they are doing the classic, put culverins at the back so that they don't get treb. Normally you put 3 or 4. Well, normally it's 3. A person can't rotate more than that. There is the treb. Very surprisingly, they don't make use of this sneaky spot. Apparently, there's a particular spot around here that has this structure protect the artillery, like a high chance of protecting the artillery. So we do have lots of trebs being used. Doc not doing too hot in taking out the artilleries on the wall, because we still got 3 Hawatchers. Got Ballista still here. Probably the most terrifying thing out of the bunch. And 2 cannons. I do think SKT could hold back a little bit with the destruction. There's still like 11 minutes to go. And I don't think those towers were very far. Yeah, just a 10 unit advantage or so for SKT. I'm talking about like higher tier units as well. It comes a little bunky because of just like unit size differences. With Sunway Phalanx is just being massive with 40 units. I like that Fenris is out on the field. Probably here to scare off any of the heroes that would decide to climb. Never. There's a lot of units you shouldn't underestimate. Still, I'm not sure why they're coming out with Men-at-Arms. They're more expensive now as well. Deal less damage to heroes with their charge attack. Still got that heal though. They're a great all-rounder. But here on the CBL, you really need units to fulfill a job. So having an all-rounder unit is not particularly great, since you have lots of teammates that can fill in for particular positions with much stronger units. Ooh, that worked out really well. Ah, that final one destroyed it. Very upsetting. What? Oh, okay. That was weird. I thought they walked all the way up to throw it. At some point...
Nothing my
Oh my
axe
goodness.
can't handle.
I wonder what happened to the culverins at the back. Probably all used up now. Middle siege tower up on the wall. Ooh, some Men-at-Arms walked up there. Probably was not controlling them. Boom! Not really great to just stand there and take it. We got longbows and shortbows here. Still 2 watches out on the front. Very surprising. Doc wants to go up this siege tower. It is a single siege tower, and I don't think that, I don't think going up a single siege tower is a very smart idea, but SKT definitely not presenting on this side, except for one shield. So it's kind of going to be a very easy treb to... Very easy treb, in fact. Now, a wise choice for Doc is actually to do a climb. If they do a climb on this corner, they can force whatever's here to fight on A, and then just present a wall here next to the siege tower, and then as SKT just comes up, just treb them into oblivion. Some trebs. Oh! Just at the tippity top. Ooh. Brutal. Heavy damage, by the way. Trebs are definitely painful. Doc does seem to look like they swung right around. Not sure why. Could have just gone through the front gate. Probably going to go for the stairs, in fact. Here we are, expecting this. I think I would have baited that in. Royal Janissary takes a hard L as they get hit super hard. How many died just there? Holy. 7 of them. SKT wants to fight this. We're gonna start off with an interesting squeeze. Doc's gonna hold back just a little bit. Royal Janissaries versus Royal Janissaries. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it does look like Daikyo Militia did manage to hit this line here. SKT does an excellent job at squeezing. Unwise to push straight through the siege tower, but I would just keep going because it's not very many. We have a contingent here on the ground, probably defeating. Whoa! They did end up going all the way up that stairs, now reinforcing the line.
Wipe them out!
SKT bringing out the Onimusha. I mean, sorry, Doc's bringing out the Onimusha. Now, the decision from SKT to do a full retreat there, I congratulate them. I think they could have defended the wall, but looks like they want to move on to a ground battle. Right now, Doc is not in a good position, losing over 110 additional units here. Oh yeah, the buff is apparently that good. Whoa! Should definitely check the minimap a bit more. I thought they were going to come through the front or go up the wall and start bombardment. Instead, Doc takes a giant scenic route here. I'm not sure where those Onimushas are going, but like, oh, okay, they were just retreating. I mean, seriously, you could have attacked something. Oh, this is not good at all. Long bow. He's a long bow right now, not a short bow. How many did he snipe? He managed to snipe 2 of them. That's not great. SKT taking the aggressive route here. Walks straight into Flamers, not the smartest move. Opens with a Death Strike, followed by the sideways sweep. Oh man, Zykeelian Militia as well. They got a bit of flames happening. Oh man, both of the flame units are about to die. I think the Zyphanaries are dead. I'm wondering whether or not. Oh, SKT's one still not dead. How many do they have left? 3 left. There goes the Treb. They sacrifice a couple of units to hold back the Tide. Tide pulling through from Doc. Probably gonna go for the reinforcements. Whoa! Let's take a step back and take a look at what's happening. Looks like a bunch of Lancelot just pushed straight up towards that point. Now caught in a weird rear charge here by Doc. SKT is facing the wrong direction. They need to turn around. Royal Janissaries not able to hold as they try to just kill whatever was on the supply point here. Unsuccessfully though. The base point is being captured. It does look like someone went to challenge that. But if SKT loses this supply point, this could be very bad. Good job for Doc swinging that advantage back around. I think SKT's desperate rush back towards the supply point was their death sentence. They really needed to concentrate on the stronger side or have at least some holding force. They were facing the completely wrong direction. Sunway Phalanx is just getting completely eaten up as Doc just came up behind them. This is a massive throw for SKT. We also have a Treb and a massive battle here at the top. Doc overextending. I think they trebbed themselves. But nevertheless, we got Zykeelian Militia still carrying the day, switching this around. We also have Shenji shooting straight into that line. They're going to force their way in with the Phalanx. Good decision. Don't sit back and wait as the front line is pushing through. Another fight on to the supply point. SKT looks to be taking a lot of L's as they lose on every single front right now. Another heavy loss for SKT. Unable to re-establish themselves. This is seriously dangerous as SKT is losing units way faster. Point is about to be captured. SKT also moving, trying to respawn and move straight to the base point, but getting caught by Doc here. Doc takes the harbor city, and I'm going to chalk that up to a massive mistake from SKT to leave or retreat from the battle. Retreating from the battle was probably their biggest mistake they could have done. This is a good thing for Doc, but not so good for SKT. I'm really hoping SKT find a time to fight and find a time to really concentrate. They overcommitted on everyone going back to the supply point when they took the wall, and they overcommitted when everyone went back to the supply point when those two Lancelot Knights moved up towards the supply point. SKT is overreacting to Doc. I'm not sure if either team can control themselves at this point. They're super aggressive and really not concentrating on the movements of their enemies and thinking about where they should fight. Defenders pick where they can fight, but once you're fighting, the enemy can still take advantage of any avenue to get to that fight. Throughout the battle, it seemingly felt like SKT had a plan. But once we hit the ground, SKT probably just didn't know what to do at some point. They did okay on that corner. I think they didn't need to actually push the corner. If they just held their position, like, they didn't need a push. First of all, SKT didn't need a push. They have advantage. They're the defenders. Doc took, like, trying to find a weakness in the defenders. Doc found massive weaknesses in the defenders, like literally not even facing their main forces as they run away from probably the majority of Doc's forces just to deal with two Lancelot Knights. I know they left a contingent of like one Sunway and one one Silidar, and it's just like, this seems concerning. Just the numbers difference is not even going to work out. Normally, you can cope when there's around about 1 unit difference. When there's a unit difference of 5 to 2, there's no way you're coping against that. I don't get how they didn't turn around when the main force showed up. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, it was one Lancelot Knight, one Royal Janissary could have challenged them. All they needed to do was just make sure the supply point wasn't taken. But what happened? They had everyone face the Lancelot Knights. They could have had they had like 2 or 3 Sunway Phalanxes and then two Silidars, and all of them just slapped the one Lancelot Knight into oblivion as they literally get walked over by Imperial Pike Marchers. If they held the corner, if only the Sunways held the corner, they could have easily delayed the main force long enough for the Royal Janissary, for the Silidars to clean up the Lancelots, turn around, and defend the Sunway Phalanxes. But yeah, it was just a very strange, like, takes a hard L here, and then on towards the supply point takes another hard L. Not sure what you're doing. SKT. The final battle was to be expected. You were basically funneled straight into that place, easily trebbable as well. I don't believe that last battle was any good for SKT at all. Alrighty. We are now moving on to the second set of siege battles. And it's going to be on Wall Fort. Doc is going to be attacking first, and then SKT. We are going to get at least 4 battles. Remember, it is a best of 5. SKT 1, Doc 1. You need 3 points at the very least, so I have high hopes. We're going to come down to a field battle. Going to be very interesting. A field battle without Zwanjia heavy cavalry and companion cavalries. Super interesting. Nevertheless, I am expecting that both teams are better on the attack than they are defending. So, I wouldn't be surprised if both teams fail their defense. Or win their attack, to say. You've definitely got that hot-blooded aggression from both of the teams. They just want to fight and just beat the enemy. They're going for a lot of areas where I would never expect a fight. Alrighty. Here, SKT brought out a little bit more heavy armors than I thought they would. Doc has about half of their team being heavy armor. A lot of muskets. That's 5 muskets coming out for SKT. Looks like the Yanyudals are being picked up by Doc. No tier 5 cavalry. We've got only just 3 Iron Cap scouts. 2 Cortelias, 2 Iron Cap scouts for Doc as well. What about 3 Zykeelian militia and 1 Siphonati? Interestingly enough, SKT brings out 4 Zykeelian militia. We also have a Shenji. No Siphonari. I'm not surprised, actually. The Siphonatioids will only be fairly interesting on the wall, but when you're on the ground, I think the Zykeelian militia is going to be the better choice. It's going to cover a little bit more area. That ground fire is probably more deadly than you think. And for just leadership cost, they can pick up their value much, much, much easier. Where's the Krieg brothers, Cav? Are they no longer worth the leadership compared to the new Cav? Oh, yeah. The new Cav is only, like, 225. It's going to be, like, 215. Sorry, it's 215 in the season right now. It was going to go to 225. The new Cav is just so good. The Krieg's brothers will beat the new Cav head-to-head. It's just that the new Cav's just so much better in just a simple fashion of... Oh, do they see this? They do. They move out of the way. Unfortunately, the Treb hits the wall several times. Massive amount of friendly fire. Making use of the artillery on this side. Destroying the middle siege tower, right-hand siege tower half. Left-hand siege tower half. Another Treb. Bit low. Will it destroy, though? Does look like it get destroyed. I think SKT should be looking to retreat out very shortly, and enough of that nonsense. That 2 flashes already was a headache. Interestingly enough, leaves the Halberdiers in brace, in fact. Regardless of anything, I think putting them in phalanx, even as heroes are bashing them in the head, is like the better choice. Interesting that you would use a mortar here in this case. You still have both of the watchers. Down goes the bridge. all of the siege towers did respawn. Front gate did get broken down. I also think without Doc, Kriegs aren't that good. Oh, yeah. Kriegs themselves, like Krieg brothers themselves, as a cavalry unit, they're mediocre at best. There's a lot of limitations on them. They're just not as strong in terms of like damage output as the companion cavalry, and the tankiness that they do have doesn't really make up for the lack of damage. And I mean, I say lack of damage. Krieg's Brothers hit hard, by the way. I mean, I've been hit by Krieg's Brothers, and they just hit me for like 6k, and I'm just like, okay, that hurts. Oh, no. Because every single attack startles the horse, you would need to block every single attack. The Krieg's Brothers could probably get on top of the phalanx, which is unlike other cavalry, but they can't, simply put, they can't actually kill the Sunward phalanx. They just have a really good shot at touching them. A lot of, like, from the front, I mean. A lot of cavalry won't even be able to touch the Sunway phalanx. The Sunward phalanx, that is to say. So, the wall gets broken. They still want to push a siege tower. They push the middle and the left-hand siege tower. I'm surprised that they didn't just go straight through the wall break. Anyway, a little bit of a time waster right now as SKT just does a massive retreat. Massive retreat. Not even defending this point. Surprisingly, we do also have Prefecture Pikemen coming out. I do think there's like a issue with Prefecture Pikemen and their charge. Their collision hitbox is really bad. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The game has a lot of things that has high defenses and high damage that a unit like Krieg Brothers that are built to be tanky doesn't feel very tanky. And the damage that they do output doesn't feel strong enough, or is like not consistent enough to really say, hey, this is a good unit. Kind of like the Silidars. Right now, the Silidars are kind of fluctuating between being really good to bad. I'm just going to put it like either really good or bad. And that's simply because you have to time their abilities. You have about 3 seconds. Their damage output is a little bit more consistent, but it's realistically their survivability that's carrying the day right now. Not that it's that spectacular. There are still things in the game that will eat through Silidars. Lancelots will eat through Silidars. Surprisingly, the Asaps outlast them, and I think Zweihanders as well does a really good. Oh no, Royal Janissaries eat Reapers. Reapers again was beaten by the Silidars, but it was the days on hit that really screwed over the Silidars, especially because they don't have very much CC immunity, and they are not immune to days, which makes it very difficult for Silidars to deal with polearms units that have stun on brace. But for the 6 seconds that you can have, Silidars are technically way tankier than Iron Reapers, so you got that issue. And because they can take so many hits from the Iron Reapers, they get a little bit of daze immunity. So you're in the territory where it's just like Royal Janissaries used to be about 50-50. Like, you would never want to deal with Iron Reapers with Silidars, but you can do it. You can do it. It's pretty easy. You just wouldn't want to, because you don't want to face tank the Iron Reapers. And also, it's mostly a trade. You'll still lose around about eight eight Cylinders for what? An entire squad of Iron Reapers? Alrighty. We're kind of moving out of the artillery phase. Dock moves up. Now, I'm very interested in seeing that we don't have any skirmishing power from either side. Really relying on artillery here. Dock has used 22 artillery and 9 trebs. We have SKT doing a super good job with the mortars they do have. They've used 12 artillery and still have 3 in reserve. Not very many losses for either side, but the damage should be very important. I think Dock is in the weaker state here, as they need to pull up. Royal Janissaries can actually tank a hit. Oh, well, I mean, they can't tank that many hits. Ooh, this could be a super bad start if SKT loses heroes. Doc does pick up one guy. Off to a strange start. Mermialones hits air. Goes in and go for another slam. Oh, gets interrupted by, I think, the poleaxe there. Alrighty. Just the halberdiers getting skirmished there. The skirmishing is super strange. Heavy hits onto the claymores here. Doc moves up into pocket. SKT moves to intercept. This is why you need ranged units sometimes, but these mortars are doing an excellent job. 2 massive hits directly into the center of that infantry mass.
Strongest will survive.
Alrighty. SKT kind of overextended and in a really weird position. Another set of Royal Janissaries. I would not send Royal Janissaries into a Sunwave's phalanx like this. You really... Oh, man. Never mind. The Zycilian Militia carried the day there, letting the Royal Janissaries get on top of those Sunwave's phalanx. Right now, the Halberdiers are surprisingly going up against the Sunwave phalanx here. Losing. We've got a small contingent still pushing forward.
Child's play.
Royal Janissaries for Doc is still holding, but not very many reinforcements is coming for Doc when with massive reinforcements coming out from SKT. Another treb onto the Halberdiers. Do we catch? Massive catch onto those Iron Cap scouts. That is super disappointing. The Iron Cap scouts comes out, gets hit by trebs as they clean up nothing. Very disappointing for the Iron Cap scouts. Royal Janissary is doing a really good job holding the line. I do think that... Okay, so Royal Janissaries is very much a frontline unit. But the problem here is that they are not a shock trooper. They do not do well against other frontline units in a direct confrontation like that. I mean, like, Sunwave Phalanx is not really a true frontline unit because of the extraordinarily low staying power. But for the purposes of my example, the Zilladars cannot afford to just walk into the phalanx. They'll take too much damage walking into it, and they just take too long to get on top of the Sunwave, the Sunward phalanx. I keep saying Sunwave. It's not Sunwave. Good dodge. We've got a battle on 2 fronts here. I'm going to try to get both of them. Already underway. Doc coming in super heavy with the Lancelot Knights. just ripping apart whatever was there.
A walk in
Lancelot
the
Knight
park.
versus Royal Janissary. Doc pushes on both fronts. Really got to pick your battles here, but unfortunately both sides are losing. SKT thinks that they can clean up this left-hand battle, as the right-hand battle is completely lost. Well,
Ashes to
surprisingly,
ashes,
the
dust
longbow
to
is
dust.
defending the point.
You should know me, my lord.
Unfortunately, SKT takes the
Summon
losses here. Doc is on the up and up. I do think that I missed out on the
you.
major
A walk
confrontation
in the
there.
park.
Now surprisingly, we do have the... Whoa! Ah, very unfortunate. Come on,
The strongest will survive.
tanky buggers. Murmiolones are not easy to kill. No! Are they retreating? Where are they going? The controller's still alive. Gonna get hit. Just throw another charge. Your charge should be up. Anyway. Good job, Doc. Taking a lot of fights. Taking a lot of fights from different angles. And winning most of them in this case. I do feel like the split approach for the attackers is working out really well. Divide and conquer. Or just win. I mean, if you're winning every single fight, nothing your defenders can do about it. Oh man, this is gonna be like shooting fish in a barrel. Just set up. Shields, rattan marksmen. They'll get out of your way in seconds. Rattan marksmen are probably going to be super deadly if they don't take out the rattan marksmen soon. They can delay the fight by swinging left and right. We also have probably a flanking contingent. This is why they're sitting here in the back. Alrighty, off to a good start. Corteliers, unfortunately, actually don't do very well. Though we got some mortars slamming straight into that infantry pile. The best bet for SKT is to spread out. Really good job for Doc. Super spread out.
No retreat.
But unfortunately, Corteliers come in for Doc, slamming straight through. Prefecture guards actually come out of nowhere and slaughtered the rattan marksman in an instant. SKT straight onto the front line. Not what you want to see. You want to delay for time as much as possible. And also, since they've got a lot of phalanx units, you really need to make use of your range. Unfortunately, now they're stuck in it. It's going to be very difficult to re-establish a line or a protection zone. We've got also Yan Yadao. Gonna probably swing straight past the halberdiers.
A walk in the park.
SKT just got the heroes left. I don't see any units out on the field.
A walk in the park.
I think that was friendly fire.
Child's
Mortars
play.
being used by SKT here.
Together we stand. A walk in the park.
No Dashi goes down. No Dashi did really well at holding.
Stand.
Well, not dying.
Child's play.
Unfortunately, the advantage for Doc is just too big right now. That fight did go well for SKT. I think they just needed to slow down and not force a counterattack. Well done, Doc, winning their attack. As to be expected. We are here on their map of choice. And I'm really wondering what SKT's got in mind when they do some things. I definitely think that when the going gets tough, they kind of break down. Not sure if it's just an off day or whether or not it's bad decision making. SKT, I expected a little bit. I expected a little bit better conditioning from you. Doc is doing all right as well. They're taking a lot of fights in very strange spots, but they're coming out on top fairly often. I don't think they're giving supplies, man. SKT defended that supply. Oh, at the very end? If you're asking about why SKT gave up the supply at the very end, oh, that's very obvious. SKT probably didn't have any units. If you don't have any spare units, that supply is useless to you. What you wanted was to delay the battle as much as you can. The defenders don't need to kill the attackers. This is one thing that I think both Doc and SKT is doing wrong, is trying to kill the enemy. There are times where you can push your advantage, and there is times where you need to be defensive. Like, the flow of battle really is hard if both teams are just aggressive. Especially for the defenders, if you start losing hard. 600, they were serfs. By the end of that, they were probably serfs. Serfs are not going to be very useful, except just to throw at the enemy. On all honesty, they could have probably defended the supply point and throw their serfs at the enemy, but a better decision is still to give the supply point, have the attackers pull up onto the point and just bleed them out and just respawn. Unless you didn't have any respawns left, which I highly doubt because only 1, 2, 3 people were on permadeath for the defenders, and there were no permadeath for the attackers either. It is great to see that the infantry battle is a little bit extended. We're getting a longer infantry battles because the Sunway Phalanx is very difficult to kill the whole unit all at once. And the Royal Janissaries don't stay on top of units very well. So once they kill the units that's next to them, they have to walk to the next unit. Their abilities and AI is not that aggressive. The only aggressiveness that they do have is the sideways sweep, and that moves them like 2 meters max. That's not very far. They I have an example. Like, if the Royal Janissaries stood here, they activated their ability, the sideways sweep, they'd end up here. That's not very far. The Lancelots alone, their slide, they could be here, and then they could be, like, over here. So, you get those scenarios where, units that are not coded to be aggressive just cannot be aggressive. Oh. Oh, that's right. I mean, I'm not drawing anything, but take an example. Let me just do that example again. So, Royal Janissaries, if you activate their sideways sweep, they move from here to about here. That's as far as they move. Like, but for units like Lancelots, they could be here, and all of a sudden they're over here. They can move. They go through units as well, basically. And so, I'm just saying that infantry is very much, right now, a much slower battle. because Royal Janissaries and because Silidars and the Sunward Phalanx are units that do not cater to the old style burst and aggression. They don't just go. They don't move like 10 meters in like 1 second on top of one enemy and then on top of a next, hitting them for enough damage to one-shot them. Royal Janissaries' damage output is barely enough to one-shot someone. And I say barely enough to one-shot someone. They hit for roughly around about 3k to like 4 targets. The funny thing is that their abilities only hit as hard as Iron Reapers. Iron Reapers might hit a little bit lower than 3k, but like you get what I mean. Iron Reapers have like a default attack of 3, and it gets upgraded to 4, and that's just their basic attack. Silidars, however, you have to use their abilities to get competent levels of damage, and it's not even that high in all retrospect. Alrighty. Fourth battle between SKT and Doc. Doc is up 2. SKT is 1. Who is going to win this next battle? Is Doc going to close this out and take the semifinals? Or is SKT going to win and force a tiebreaker? I'm so excited to see what a tiebreaker is going to look like, with both Zwanji Heavy Cavalry and Companion Cavalries being banned. Oh yeah, for sure. Personally, I love Silidars. They were my favorite unit when they released. And they stayed one of my favorite units for a long time. I'd pull them out quite often. Expedition, I pulled them out to beat up those loyal guards, or the stalwarts, sorry, and the paladins. Oh, excellent. They were my favorite unit. I used them quite often because they were just really fun to use. And now that you can use them again, slightly differently, it's not too bad. It's honestly not too bad. SKT, surprisingly coming out with 4 short swords for some reason. Very surprising. I did not expect the 4 short swords. I'm feeling SKT is moving towards a more defensive playstyle. And I go through the floor here. How could you miss? My favorite is the Kev tools. Never experienced them in their prime, but they got so much potential and just funny if you get those random hero kills. Oh, I'll be honest, Kev tools, a delight. They were actually really cool when they had 2 skills. Since they combined it into Firestorm, I didn't like it as much. I definitely did like the hunting time, where you could just use them as purely archer cavs, and I used them all the time on field battles to shoot out the even other ranged units. I mean, it was really funny. It was just like they would shoot so fast and they did enough damage that I could kill an entire ranged unit before they could kill like a couple of my Kev tools. You only had like 16 Kev tools before as well. Now you have 21. So I really think that it was cool back in the day. FKT easily manhandles the surf unit there. Just looked like a retreat from Doc here. Just letting go of B. Interestingly enough, don't think they definitely not defending the wall. They didn't waste any resources, so there's that. Just a little bit off the top for the attackers. 2 trebs, 1 artillery. I'm surprised what that 1 artillery... I would definitely like to know what that 1 artillery was. Because frankly, that'd just be... Oh, never mind. Oh, nope. Oh, yep, nope, this one here. What are you shooting at? The wall? Interesting. Oh, yeah. Nah, the thing I hate about Firestorm as well is because their arrows actually do not come out. Their arrows do not actually fly fast enough for them to hit anything most of the time. Unless the target is stationary, you do not hit anything with the Firestorm, especially if you're charging towards something. And also because of like limitations, unless you directly place the marker on top of your target, they won't switch to melee in time, and some of the times they run through my intended target and trying to shoot arrows. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. Sometimes it's finicky. It's really finicky. I don't like Firestorm at all. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for this, but like, I made a suggestion to make a archer unit that would shoot arrows as they charge. So the fact that Kev tools do that now, cool. Unfortunately, it's just like they're not coded, they're not balanced correctly for that to work. It's a melee cavalry that only really does well against very few units. And most of the time, their arrows don't even do anything. Most of the time, you're realistically running over the units with a pseudo charge, which actually hurts, but it's just not as effective as just a normal charge. So you're just left in a really strange middle ground where the arrows are way worse than they were in hunting time, and the charge portion of the thing is just too short. Also, it leaves them in a vulnerable position because they start circling around inside the enemy. Now, it's very unwise for Doc to be taking so many hits, but this is not a unit. Those aren't important units. It's just village Demez Spearmen and Rattan Pikemen. Rattan Pikemen can carry their weight. I definitely do think that Rattan Pikemen shouldn't be wasted, considering they have a powerful debuff. But nevertheless, when it comes to tier 5 units, you'd still rather bring a tier 5 unit than have a Rattan Pikeman. But for the defending team, if you can make use of the Rattan Pikeman at any point, it would be against strong units instead of weak units. But it's a good thing that Doc is being wise and using weak units out on the field while still being around the supply point to get ready to switch. One of the things that is always very obvious is when you're in the mortaring section, don't have your strong units out. Just let your weak units get blown to bits and your strong units just in a safe spot ready to move. You can delay time with serfs. It still takes it still takes like 1 or 2 seconds for the enemy to deal with your serfs. And if your serfs get hit by mortars and stuff, I don't care. Oh well, should you care about your serfs and stuff? No, not really. It's just a waste of time for SKT because they're not getting any true value out of killing serfs until all of your high-tiered units are dead. Now, again, you could definitely speed it up by good old charge. Let's see if they can catch something. Oh, brutal. Brutal catch. SKT wanted to clean up that pike village pikeman. Loses an Iron Cap scout. That has to be painful. Iron Cap scouts are also another unit where it's just like could be much more effective if you just give it the chance. Oh, for the Cerex? I don't know. Honestly, Mastery's been kind of that hit or miss. They either introduce a whole new thing. Oh my goodness. The unfortunate thing here is that Cylindars don't have a healing skill. If they had, they would have much better staying power. Fortunately, taking a mortar like that, I think most of them would be like quarter health, right? I mean, most of them should have lost like a quarter of their health by taking a shot like that. Not really great to keep around a weak unit like that. Now, in considering, I have to mention that there is a 40? No, way higher than that. A 60 unit advantage for SKT in the higher tiers. And that's probably just purely because they brought more Sunwood, the Sunwood phalanxes. Now, it would be very interesting to see where SKT moves. Takes a charge. Cordelia charge. Pretty effective charge, if I do say so. For a Cordelia, they ripped apart the, that Stalwart. I want to say Loyal Guard, but I know it's Stalwarts. Oh! Brutal hit. Good Treb stalling straight onto the base point. Gonna get a bit of squeeze here. You really need to just have the appropriate numbers. Here comes some... Oh man, this is just such a mess right now. That backline is, interestingly enough, working out. You also have the Siphonaries burning straight over the top. Leading through. Massive losses for SKT here. Doc pulls a nice flank with the leftover Yanyu here. I think there were 2 Yanyu on the field.
Strongest will.
And handedly takes that fight. I do think SKT could have stopped here and waited for Doc to pull over. If anything, they should have swung around the point instead of through the point. Trying to get right on top. Oh man, Lancelots are fast, How many are going to escape? Probably not too many, since the heroes are right on them. A good catch, nonetheless. Whoa, here comes a charge. But the Sunward Phalanx does catch it. And I think the Halberdiers also eats a filthy amount of damage there, since they walked right into it. Or they set up in time. Either way. Nice to see these guys out on the field after their mastery. I don't think they're very effective, considering their cost. But nevertheless, I do like to see shield units. Now, SKT really needs to establish two fronts here. Pulling back this front line to the edge here would be a good idea. A nice stretch as well, eating this for free. Do not push forward, as a charge just comes swinging through. Just need to shore up this back line as well. Looks like SKT does move for it. We're losing Halberdiers here in the front, but that's not too much of a loss, as the other battles seem to be turning in the favor of SKT. The main force here is still strong as well. Plenty of Yanyu out on the field as well. Really need to get that coverage right. We're gonna lose a couple of units here on this side. Not a good look when you got the majority of your forces here and can't have your main infantry get killed off like this. But Doc has no ability to get on top of this point right now.
Wipe them out!
Doc lost super hard in that fight. SKT, good job taking it slow. Don't be aggressive. Wait for the enemy to make a mistake. You have all the tools in the world. The defenders want to defend a spot. They choose where to fight. And when they start fighting, that's where you take an advantage.
A walk in the park!
It's very surprising that Doc had not cut their losses and still proceed to try to catch. I'm really thinking...
Yes, Commander.
I'm really thinking this longsword is just trying to delay as well. Can he get another reset? He is still alive somehow. SKT is not out. Definitely back in it. The loss at the earlier start was 100 units. Now, I'm gonna put it to Doc to play this perfectly. They need to make use of space. They need to slow down SKT somehow. There's still 4 artilleries, 5 trebs they need to deal with as well. They can't afford to just fight directly with SKT. If they can win small battles, Good catch on the tail here. Might sacrifice a little bit of the catch point here. SKT, this is going to be like an Ouroboros. They're going to basically chase each other.
Yes, Commander.
Problem is, Doc needs to get on top of that point. Swings around, not a very good look. Mostly because the treb's going to land straight on top of them. 4 trebs hit, 3 trebs, 5. That was some really good trebbing. Quarterliers try to charge through, but a nice line. SKT holding that line, got that Sunwave Phalanx out on the front. Doesn't have any protection, but who needs protection when you're stun on braces carrying the day? Doc loses again. Only managed to get a minute of time.
A walk in the park.
Takes super heavy trebs as they come up through the center. Doc should have kept going around. They shouldn't have flipped back. They should have kept going around.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. A walk in the park.
And there we have it. 2-2. SKT winning 2, and Doc winning 2. So everyone winning all of their attacks. It is great to see that at first you don't succeed, try again. And I do love it that SKT is still pulling through, even if the first battle